10 picks this season before my boy O.J. Howard, who we all sort of thought would leapfrog them and go first. So let's talk about the draft and his match in Cincinnati with Match or No Match, presented, of course, by ZipRecruiter. Is John Ross a good fit in that offense?
John Ross is the absolute match in the Cincinnati Bengals offense. You look at what he's going to play with. You have A.J. Green, who, when he's healthy, they consider him to the likes of Julio Jones, Antonio Brown. He's always in that conversation. And some will say, well, it's just speed. Nate, how can speed be attached to a number one receiver and make the offense better? Because you can look at John Ross and know that he's more than just a track guy. If you paid attention to him in college, he can run just about every route in the book. And he's even aware of the perception of his speed because he said it on our show. I want to prove that I can run every route in the book. And if you look at last year, one of the more successful offenses, one of the more efficient offenses was Atlanta Falcons. Taylor Gabriel, who bursted on our scene, who was an absolute speed guy, he was the benefactor of Julio Jones. He was the benefactor of Mohamed Sanu. He's a benefactor
also
of playing
Matt Ryan
with better
and Kyle
receivers.
Shanahan, though.
Exactly. So for me, I can appreciate that a young guy with that type of speed who wants to be an elite route runner is going to play with a guy like A.J. Green, and that's going to make that offense that much better. So he's an absolute match. Absolute match.
And I'm not being negative on it. John Ross, friend of the show, love him, love his story. But with the offensive line, they didn't add to that in the draft. They added a center. They already have a center. So that sort of concerns me because you get rid of Whitworth. He's now an L.A. Ram. You get rid of Zeitler. I feel like we have a lot. We think of these rookie wide receivers differently now. It used to be before Keenan Allen, who really changed the game and came out and had a 1,000-yard season several years ago. And we've seen more and more wide receivers rack up these 1,000-yard seasons. Take a look at this, guys. This is since 2003, right? A lot of 1,000-yard seasons. Before this, to put this into perspective for you, only 9 rookies, 9, hit 1,000 yards in the 30 seasons leading up to this. So is this the new normal? But you look at that 2014 year.
Mike Thomas is here.
Yeah, you have, I don't know, you have 3 of those guys coming out of one season. So is that an anomaly?
Up there.
Or should we be expecting these 3 wideouts, John Ross included, in the top 10 overall, taken to rock out these pro-ready seasons of 1,000 yards? I know that they're more ready to play in the league now than they were maybe back then. I don't know what the answer is.
Well, look, they chuck it a lot now, and we do have really high expectations. But also, with this John Ross thing, it's interesting because he runs the 4.22 and becomes internationally famous.
Right.
That's something that can hang over your head for a long time.
Yeah.
We've seen guys, Darius Hayward-Bay, taken 7th overall, speedster. Nice career, fine. But 7th overall, no. Troy Williamson, Nate, you know him, also taken 7th overall because they were so fast. I love what John Ross is doing. You see him on Twitter, 422, April 22nd is John Ross Day. Just be careful with that because I like him too, but you are going into the AFC North. There are guys like Mike Mitchell there who are coming with bad intentions. That is not Washington State. That is not Cal. I know he's a great athlete. I know he's got great hands, everything. I want to see the physical part of it because there are high expectations now, especially when you go that high.
And I put the onus on the offensive coordinator, Ken Zampese. Nate mentioned him 2 days ago, but now there's no excuse. Last year, he was his first year as coordinator. Hugh Jackson was now the head coach of the Browns, and it was like, all right, well, we lost Marvin Jones, and we also lost Mohamed Sanu. That's asking a lot on Tyler Boyd and Brandon LaFell. All right, well, now we're getting you a top 10 wide receiver.
Yeah.
And this guy can blow the top off. And you got A.J. Green, and you got Tyler Eifert. And we also added Joe Mixon. So this Bengals offense, suddenly the tools are all there. And you mentioned the offensive line. 2 years ago, they drafted Obehi in the first round and Fisher in the second round, 2 offensive linemen who didn't play the way they probably would have liked to last year. There was injuries. They're going to be asked to fill in for Zeitler and Whitworth. I honestly think this offense can be lights out, but the onus is on who's drawing it up and also the quarterback, Andy Dalton. But John Ross, to me, a great match. It's just my question. You had Reuben Foster on the board. You had Hassan Reddick on the board.
O.J. Howard is on the board. You could have ran him out with Tyler Eifert, 2 tight end sets.
If you had traded back and gotten John Ross, I don't know. It's a whole thing about value because the 2 other wide receivers went fast. I don't think anyone expected Davis and Williams to be gone. So if the Bengals are like, we'll get one of them, then this is the guy who is left, and that's the guy.
They still got Eifert, so they were looking for a tight end. And then the wide receiver core, that's what this offense has been for so long. Even though they have the dual threat in the backfield, you look at that offense, when they're clicking, it's throwing the ball down the field. And for me, John Ross is a little bit different than Troy Williamson and Darius Hayward-Bay because you look at what he did last year. He had 19 touchdowns. And I remember talking to him when he came on the set, and I was like, man, how many touchdowns did you have? And he looked up in the air and he said, 19. You're talking about total, right? And I'm like, yeah. And it reminded me that he's not just a wide receiver. He's also a returner. So when you talk about match, yeah, he's a great match for this offense. he's a tremendous match for this team. You imagine that guy back there, kickoff return, punt return with space and ability to go out there and take it to the house. This guy's going to make an impact week 1, and if he stays healthy, he will make an impact throughout the